Censorship comes in many forms, overtly applied by state and corporate policy, silencing political and cultural beliefs and hiding inconvenient truths. Censorship is a political weapon, a show of brute force in an ideological war. Originally, a censor was a head counter. They held the office of censorship. Their job was to conduct a census, recording the populace of a city or country. This meant names and faces and exact locations to collect taxes and conscription for war. Even history itself has been censored. Anatoly Fomenko explored its fake chronology in several books, including history, fiction, or science. Another name to look for is Martin Liedtke, the Mudflood Man. His online research, especially into the mid-19th century, has revealed thousands of historical anomalies in the official timeline. Fahrenheit 451 is a dystopian novel by sci-fi writer Ray Bradbury. Its title marks the temperature that paper burns. The story focuses on a group of firemen who, rather than put out fires, burned books. But the concept is not merely a fiction. You'll find plenty of examples of book burning throughout history. Ancient Greece, Rome, and many other empires and religions silenced opposition through this brutal form of censorship. The Spanish Inquisition burned the books of heretics in between torturing the profane. Boston burned the books of the Quakers after accusing them of heresy. In 1683, Oxford University burned several books by the philosopher Thomas Hobbes, who had implied that the state only retained their authority through public consent. Voltaire's work suffered the same fate at the court of King Frederick, the Not-So-Great. Germany, Russia, and China have all set alight whole libraries in the midst of political upheaval. Some religious factions in America decided that books weren't enough and chose to burn records. They especially despised the Beatles, who joked that they were bigger than Jesus. I wonder how America would have reacted if Beatles fans had started burning Bibles. Eventually, technology advanced and books began to fall out of favour. The first blow came from radio, then movies and TV, and the knockout punch was the internet, the content of which could be centrally controlled and heavily censored to protect the public from the whole truth. History was rewritten, dictionaries edited, famous works of art, icons from the past. Anything that didn't tally with the progressive views of the world order was erased from the social memory. One of the most tragic victims of cultural censorship has to be comedy, because now everything is offensive and we can no longer see the funny side of things. Victim culture has left many with little understanding of irony and satire, or even a sense of humour. Jokes don't need to be funny anymore, as long as they contain a progressive social message. Laughter has been seen as offensive by some. I've seen shows where people don't laugh or even applaud, but they will make jazz hands to show their approval. The mental drift of our culture has led many astray, leaving them unsure about what to think or say. So they rely on influencers to tell them, and those social butterflies slavishly operate under a social contract with the corporate state. They have to watch themselves, their choice of language and behaviour, because others are watching them too. In fact, we are all under total surveillance, and it has deeply affected the natural behaviour of the human race. Fear is the currency of modernity, and treachery is the compensation. The internet has all but destroyed mainstream news. The propaganda arm of the state is now little more than a stump. The legacy media lost their primary contract to the technocrats many years ago. Silicon Valley is an expert in big data, and it has a far higher hit rate when it comes to social conditioning. Censorship may be an extremely useful tool for corrupt governments and corporations, but it does have its limits. When scandals of an increasingly sordid nature begin to include the names of the power elite and the media says nothing, suspicions will arise. Yet few will speak up, for merely speaking the truth is not enough. If you're messaging with the wrong colour or gender, you'll be called out, shadow banned, or doxxed. Yet even that is not enough to quell dissent amongst the masses. And so the cabal once again stepped up their game. Now we are all bound by 1,000 new rules and regulations and physically gagged by a medical mask. The internet has broken the dam of reality, and the lunatics have escaped from their virtual asylum. The masks bear silent witness to the murder of humanity as they symbolically honor the pagan ritual of transformation. The process begins with isolation for the purposes of purification. The initiate is forced to wear a mask. Their environment and their senses are completely controlled. They are deprived of food, warmth, and comfort until they surrender. Their symbolic death leaves them ready for ritual integration. Another zombie for the cabal, another mindless consumer for the corporate state. I still see people wearing masks on the street, sat in cars on their own, or walking their dog in the park, and I stare in disbelief. If they ask what's wrong, I just shake my head. There's no arguing with them, for they have no opinion of their own, only the government mandate. If left unchecked, living under self-imposed martial law, they would drag the rest of us down with them. If your country has ended its mask mandate and those around you still insist on restricting their breathing and that of their children, especially in open spaces, shake your head and show your disapproval. It may not seem much, but if enough of us do it, the sleepwalkers may awake. Because you never know, you might end up saving the life of a stranger or even their whole family.